Hi everyone, Santo and Ed here, just checking in before the World Cup ends. Just quickly, where we're coming from, I'm Santo. As you know, I'm flying to Bali today because apparently that's where Harry Kane's penalty is going to land. So I want to be when then that makes landfall, which I'm excited about.
I'm at a different part of the world. I'm still waiting for Robbie Bajos to return. That's taken a while. That's actually gone into orbit. And it's actually, and in fact, it actually got into Mars's orbit, and then it's slingshotting its way back as we speak. So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, I think Elon Musk is sending a rocket to retrieve it, which I'm excited about. Now you're coming to us from the VAR room, which is being set up, and this is an exclusive here. Santo Chilaro is the first employee of Saudi Arabia 2030, and there he is. In Saudi after it's gone so well in Qatar. Congratulations, buddy, on being employee one and just setting up the VAR room there, otherwise known as the Nothing to See Here room, which is a new initiative for the Saudi World Cup.
That's right. And Greg Norman got me my job, so I'm very
Did he? Oh, that's good of the Shark.
He's a good guy, isn't he?
He's our best. The best guy.
Lovely guy, yes.
So just quickly, obviously, I have to quickly, before we talk about the Cup, just before it ends, I have to thank my sponsors. Obviously, Qatari Airways. I have to thank my Gina Reinhardt, my other sponsors. So a big thank you to both of them. Philip Morris, do a great job with cigarettes. Just really interesting stuff coming from them. And Halliburton, obviously, making a lot of great weapons these days. And weapons grade plutonium, who are also just come on board to sponsor me. So I'm pretty happy with it. Well.
I'm an Exxon man myself, so
yeah. That's Greg talking. That's Greg stuff too. Greg would love that. Now, obviously, to the matter at hand, the semi-finals, and now onto the final. Santo Chilaro.
And I believe did earlier in the piece in a podcast that we're on. Did I pick Argentina or Croatia?
You most certainly did
this year.
You most certainly did.
So I'm going to be after you. Well, I could be right. I mean, at least one of them is going to get into a final, so that's good.
Yep, absolutely right. And as you know, I picked FIFA and Qatar to be on the other side of the draw, and that's.
Was there some argy-bargy going on with the Argies and the Orange? What was going on there?
So
was that penalty shootout kind of stuff, or was it stuff that occurred before?
No, before, and there was a great bit where Messi's finally snapped, and in an interview with Argentinian television, someone walks past and Messi breaks off and says something Bobo. And it translates to keep walking, idiot, and that was the first time he'd ever met Gianni Infantino from FIFA. And I just thought it's a strong message. It's a strong message to send.
Yes. And I wonder what Gianni Infantino actually felt at the time, what he felt like.
Yeah. He said he was back. He was transported back to being the red-headed, freckled kid coming to that Swiss private school and getting teased. You know, I know some of the things they used to say to him. I don't promote bullying, as you know, but I've sort of gone back and spoken to a few people. And they said the school that he went to, this is some of the insults going around the playground. Your dad's so poor, he's only got a super yacht, which is hard to take. It's hard to take.
You can't say that anymore.
Yeah. How about this? Your mum's so poor, some of her bank accounts can be found. They're not secret. It's hard. It's hard to take.
No, you can't do that. But congratulations to Croatia and to Argentina for getting there, because I don't know. I've been to enough World Cups and I've seen enough World Cups, Ed, to know that the teams that sort of don't shine too brightly early on, they're the ones that usually end up winning the cup. And I still think Argentina is perfectly placed. You know, they just haven't been firing properly. They've worked themselves into a bit of form, and even just looking at that clip of Messi being very un-Messi-like, having a go at whoever was having a go at him.
It was Weghorst. It was Wout Weghorst, the guy that came on and scored the header for Holland, the tallest, the most marine-looking non-marine to ever play football.
No wonder Messi was looking up like that when he was. Should have put two and two together. So I thought it was a mystery. It was a mystery person.
Well, it was a mystery because no one knew who Wout Weghorst was before that match.
Mind you, that was a damn good free kick, wasn't it? The equaliser was just.
I don't even know what you call that. The secondary wall, but it was a wonderful free kick. Barry Glendenning said on Twitter that it shouldn't have counted because the Dutch were standing too close to the Argentinians in their own wall. So, yeah, but Twitter doesn't become an official refereeing tool until Saudi 2030. Ironically, where it's banned. Big shout out. Big shout out.
But I've had lots of messages from my cousins in Mendoza. So they've been wearing the Argentina shirts, and they're pretty cocky. They're cocky right now because they've sort of had to struggle to get there a little bit. They've been tested by really good sides, and they're hardened. And I think the idea of probably not facing Brazil is probably a good thing, isn't it? Really, I mean, I know that they would have probably risen to the occasion. It would have been a tough match, but geez, that's come out. It's a good result for them.
That's a great result, and of course, My Cousins in Mendoza, the true crime series coming to Netflix in the fall, which I'm very excited about. So we should get out of here, but people are saying, Santo, where do we go from here, you and I? We've obviously had our issues and we're working through them, but what do we do now? What are we going to do to help the Socceroos win the World Cup? That's the next step. It was Johnny Warren's dream, and that's where we want to head. And Santo, so after I spoke to you, I've done some research, and I know exactly where this current phase of the team started, which tells us where one of the ways in which we need to go. I have identified the individual who set us on course for this run at the World Cup. Would you like to see a photo of him?
Yes, please.
Who is that?
Is that
get the glasses out. That is Max Vieri, his brother.
Max Vieri.
That is Max Vieri, Christian Vieri's brother, who played 1.5 to 2 games for the Socceroos in very sort of ignominious fashion. Yeah. However, he was a naturalized Australian.
I know where you're
found out, because of course Christian Vieri grew up in Australia, chose not to play for us, and instead we got Max Vieri, who did the best. I remember talking to a former Socceroo who said when he arrived, everyone was calling him Vieri. By the time he left, everyone was calling him Max. Which tells you something.
In fact, everyone was calling him Minimum, not Max anymore. It was Minimum.
Minieri. It wasn't Max. Was it? Yeah.
I think I know where you're coming from, Ed. So you think we should actually just have a look at who we got and actually get them.
I've got the test. The test. The test is you have a shot. That looks good. Now. Here he is. There's a guy on Twitter called @scout_Aussie. We'll put a link up to him. He's an Australian football scout working around the world, and you and I are going to reach out to him. His name is Sam Pang, but he goes by an alias. And this is something that he said, how good is this? He was talking about naturalizing over this in a Twitter thread. Harry Souttar, Australia's best player at the World Cup, the 6'1" Scottish Australian who's our best player, Santo, which is fair to say now. Okay.
Yes.
Harry Souttar, this is a quote from Aussie Scout, Harry Souttar was discovered because former Socceroo goalkeeper Adam Frederici was his club teammate and asked him.
That is truly amazing. That is
100%. So that's true.
Verified that?
That I have. It's Twitter. You don't need to. So the point is, if that's true, and it sounds like it is, this guy's pretty on it, and we should ask Adam when we get in touch with Frederici. So Morocco have this guy, and they have an Australian whose job it is to partly look out to find the diaspora talent. There is an Australian who has been working behind the scenes with other countries, and I believe including Morocco, to find diaspora talent. So we find him, we get him, he now works for the Socceroos, and by the time 2030 comes around, you're there handing the trophy to insert Australian here, while you and Greg Norman sail off into the sunset on a money that dubious practices built.
Ed, I think that's a great idea. I'm also a great believer in there's not just one solution to all things. So there are pillars to all problems. To solutions to problems. And I do think that we need to base ourselves on. We tried to go for a Dutch coach. Do we go the Dutch? Do we go? I think Croatia is a pretty good country to look at in terms of how comparable we are. They're I guess, got a similar kind of population. I don't exactly know.
No, they have 4.5 million. We have 26.
Right. Okay. What I mean is small. I didn't realize it was that small. That's quite incredible. They kind of play the game in the same way. They're hard. They have belief in themselves. And whilst we sit around going, oh, do we go German? Do we go Dutch? Do we go English? What do we do? I think we've got to look at how well they've done. I mean, they've been in the top 4 since they've been a country. They ended up third in '98 and they were second in 2018, and they'll be in the top 4 this time. I think look around there, and also because we've got a bit of Croatian in this country, let's go that way. Let's see what they're doing. Let's see what their pathways are. Maybe even change our flag to the checked green and gold. I think the checked green and gold would be a good look. But I do think that I think you're right. I think we should look at the diaspora, try and naturalize a few people, and then just look at look at some templates and see how other countries have done it. I don't think, we can look at how Morocco have done things, but I presume that we don't have that much in common with the way they play.
No, so they're diaspora though. They're super diaspora. They're the Morocco in brackets diaspora, close brackets, which is which is the way we have to look at it as well. So we're going to go the Croatian model, which means that I'm assuming New Zealand will just adopt the Serbian model and we'll just keep the rivalry going.
That'll add a bit of spice to the.
That'll add a bit of spice. We got to get out of here. I've got a meeting with the Supreme Committee. They're being asked about workers' rights, and I gave him a line the other day about death being part of life, and it didn't play very well. So I've just got to adjust some of the wording that we're using for the Supreme
By the way,
Committee.
death being part of life. I mean, that's just that's also the Brazilian coaches' motto as well. But yeah, no, I've got to get away too. I've got to do a nude calendar with Greg Norman. I'm Mr. March, so I better go and do that. But yeah, so if there are any suggestions,
predictions, give me a prediction. Who wins it from here? Prediction: who wins it from here?
I'll stick with Argentina. I've gone with Argentina.
No, I was talking about the Live Golf.
The what?
I was talking about the Live Golf Tour.
I reckon who's the Australian guy? Is it Cam Smith?
Who knows?
Cameron.
So you're going for Argentina / Cam Smith.
Yeah.
I believe also Argentina, and then Semi Ballesteros to win the league. Follow us on the socials at Santo and Ed. If you see Sam in the street, just give him a mouthful. Give him a real mouthful. Don't tell him why. It'd be really funny. And we will see you, of course. Big shout out to everyone at SBS and their sponsors, which are Betting and Qatar, together at last. Thank you so much.
And I can't wait for their segment Chic of the Week. I think
it's wonderful.
Nothing worked really well on their show.
And the adjunct Chief of the Week, where you find fans in Native American headdress in the front row.
There's too much of that. There is way too much of that.
It's also perhaps just sitting behind them. I don't know what is going on. It's like, does it stop being cultural appropriation if it's surrealism? It's just so strange. Anyway,
and I tell you what, if I lived in the Arctic, there's a bit of cultural appropriation with Santa Claus at the moment. I'm sorry, that is just not the place. That is not the place to wear a Santa Claus top.
Thank you all. See us on TikTok.
Ciao for now.